There are so many things that I would say our parents were not able to give us because they themselves did not receive it. And that's why nowadays it's causing a lot of problems because most people are not able to manage their relationships as they should because of how they grew up.
Hi guys, welcome to Tea or Coffee with Musi. It's your girl Musi, the host of your favorite podcast, which I just mentioned, Tea or Coffee with Musi. So today guys, I invited one of my close friends, my bestie, my mbanya. So before we get into our topic, I would say, Mbanya, welcome.
Thank you.
How do you feel to be here today?
I'm excited and I'm comfortable and I'm ready to have this conversation with you.
Okay, Mbanya says she's comfortable. So if you are sitting in your house, I have received my invitation. I am not coming here. Don't play with me. It's comfortable. Actually, the space is...
Yeah, no, it's quite comfortable.
Okay. So I'll give my Mbanya a few minutes to present herself. I'm sure that a couple of single guys out there want to know who this stunning girl is, this baby girl. So Mbanya, can you present yourself to my viewers?
I know the viewers will start by asking why we are Banyas. But let's just leave it with question marks. So I'm Rynna Nasah of RNAfrilux. I work at the National Assembly as an administrator and I'm the CEO of RNAfrilux, which is a luxury business line that deals with African wares. So I worked for a couple of years and the salary wasn't really it. And I knew
the salary wasn't salary.
No, it was not salary at all. Like it could take care of just my needs and I needed more. I needed to live the baby girl life, but not above my means anyway. So I had to fight and see what I could do to be able to top up my finances. And that's how I started with RNAfrilux. It's a luxury brand. We sell male and female African wares. So that's what keeps me busy for the most part of my life. So that's Rynna for you.
Okay, my girl Rynna is a this, a that, a CEO, a blah, blah, blah. You understand? So single guys, if you're coming for her, pack fine. Like, even your shoes should pack, you understand? Even the perfume should be perfuming. So Mbanya, what will you have today? Tea or coffee?
Coffee, definitely.
Mbanya is me and Mbanya were coffee girls. Any day, anytime.
Yeah,
so see you in a few minutes. We'll serve ourselves some coffee and get back to you with the hot gist. Bye. So guys, we are back from our coffee break. Literally. My girl Mbanya and myself have coffee in our teacups and we are enjoying every sip. So Mbanya, hope the coffee is at your taste.
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. So today, guys, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic. I have seen shege in relationship. So Mbanya decided to go and research to understand why the different people that are meeting are showing me shege. So that's how my Mbanya went and she saw something quite interesting. It's a pretty psychological topic, but can be understood at all levels. So today, my Mbanya is here with me so that we can talk about attachment styles in relationships, not from a specialist perspective, but from a perspective of someone who has tried to understand it and apply it to her life, my life, our lives. So I hope you listen closely. I hope you watch us and enjoy every teeny little bit of this episode. And I hope you learn in one way or the other. So Mbanya, we are so super duper excited to have you here today. And we look forward to this exchange while hoping that we will leave from here with a lot of things learned. So I would like to know, what are attachment styles to you?
Well, from my research and what I understand about attachment styles, it's an origin. It starts right from childhood. It starts from childbirth and your caregivers. The caregivers each human being has on earth are their parents. And everything starts with how the relationship you have with your parents. And faith, if you have parents who take care of you, who love you, who are present, who are not present, that's how you tend to grow up. And that's how your expectations when it comes to relationships, it has a role, a very important role that it plays in our relationships. And a lot of people tend to not even understand that all these things boil down from how you were raised and all. So attachment styles, it's how you relate with your partner. And there are different kinds of attachment styles. I don't know if I should get to talking about the attachment styles, or I let you talk and then I start talking about attachment styles. I don't know.
Well, I think maybe just for context, your attachment style is the way you relate to a partner. Even though I have a lot of questions, like can it define the way you relate to a child? Can it define the way you relate to colleagues and all of that? But we'll get there.
Yeah.
So I would like to know, I've heard, rumor has it that there are different attachment styles. So what are the different attachment styles and what are their specificities?
There are 4 attachment styles. We have the secure attachment, we have the avoidant attachment, we have the anxious attachment, and we have the disorder attachment. The very best is the secure attachment. When you are securely attached to your partner, if I should put it that way, it shows that you trust your partner. Anyways, let me start from the beginning. It shows that you grew up in a home or in an environment where you received care. Like your parents showed you a lot of care, they showed you a lot of love. And so it's easy for you to give out love. It's easy for you to trust people. It's easy for you to have this relationship where communication is very fluent and what's the word, proper, if I should put it that way. So that's the best, when you have your secure. And having a secure attachment doesn't necessarily mean that in relationships you guys don't have problems. No, the problems are there, but the way you handle it is different. So that's what each and every one of us is supposed to work towards, having the secure attachment. We're going to talk.
So if I can interrupt a little bit. So the secure attachment style stems from growing up in a family setting where the love is secure, basically.
If I should put it that way, yes.
Okay.
But it's also possible to work on yourself to get to that level.
Okay.
But for the most part, or generally, it's when you grow up in that environment where the love is secure. Yeah.
Okay. So
now,
the next attachment style,
we have the avoidant attachment. This is where the partners or the person involved grew up in a home where love was not very, was not very it. They were used to their parents or their caregivers, let me put it that way, not being available at all times. So it puts them in a place where when they're in a relationship, they don't know how to give out love and receive love. So for the most part, they avoid the, the feelings in the relationship. Yeah, the feelings of love. And when you start avoiding, there's a lot that you're going to miss out on in your relationship. And it also puts you in a place where you move from one partner to the next, because there's a lot that you're not giving and there's a lot that you're not receiving, because you don't know how to give out love and you don't know how to receive love.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the anxious. Anxious in this case, most of the people who put out the anxious attachments, most of them are suffering from, say, insecurity or low self-esteem. And that's also because of the kind of environment where they grew up in. Their parents were, in this case, their parents were never really there for them. So for the most part, they have to look up to their partners to validate them. So they seek for feelings of validation, right? They seek for feelings of validation from their partners. And all these things, like I said, it stems up from how you grew up. Because how you grew up, the environment in which you grew up, that's how you're going to portray it in a relationship. For the disorder attachment, you have, I'll call them bipolar. People who are bipolar, or I'll say today they're here, tomorrow they are not there. Because today they know how to give love, tomorrow they are running away from it. Yes, they are avoiding it because it's similar to the avoidance. So in their case, they have to disorder. You're not present like that. So
okay, so thank you for the clarifications. I guess we are understanding, but we would like to understand more specifically, like, can you give us instances where these different attachment styles can be portrayed? Because from the words themselves, I think, like the words that are used to categorize the different attachment styles, I think that kind of self-explanatory. But if I'm wrong, so if I have an anxious attachment style, when my partner is not near me, I feel like he's with another person and I'm anxious. I feel a lot of anxiety and all. For the secure attachment style, I feel like if he's not here, he's somewhere and he's not doing anything to wrong me. So I don't know if you can categorize the different types of attachment styles specifically to, I don't know if I should say, can you illustrate using specific examples?
Okay, let me use an example where you're with your boyfriend or your husband, and your husband travels for a trip. If you're in a secure attachment, first things, you're going to be comfortable with the fact that your husband has traveled, because you had that communication with your husband. I'm sure before your husband traveled, he told you he was traveling, and you're okay with it. You don't exhibit any signs of jealousy. You trust your husband 100%. If he tells you that he's traveling for work, you 100% believe that he's traveling for work. You guys have that communication, and it's easier. It makes the relationship easier. You're not staying back at home worried about the fact that, okay, maybe my husband has really not gone for work. Maybe he's out with some girl or so. That helps us to go to the anxious attachment. So somebody who is suffering from anxious attachment, the person will sit back home and will be worried. Did my husband really travel for a trip? Is he out with some girl? What is he up to? Those are the kinds of things that the person is going to, it puts you in that place of you're insecure, you're jealous, you are, and it's not supposed to be like that. So the moment you see that you're going through that kind of a thing, you're in an insecure, let's say insecure relationship.
The pattern is not secure.
Yes. Yeah. So you have to work on yourself to get to secure, because those are the things that help your relationship last longer and avoid problems, if I should put it that way. Yeah. For the avoidant, most ladies who are in an avoidant
attachment style.
Yes, sorry. Most of them are independent ladies. They feel that they don't need their husbands. So if their husband travels, or if their husband doesn't travel, or if their boyfriend is around or their boyfriend is not around, they really don't care. At some point, yes, they want the boyfriend. At other points, they're like, no, I think, because with the avoidant, they are scared to that intimacy. They are scared of it because they don't know what the outcome is going to be at the end of the day. And people who even exhibit that are people who they grew up in an environment where their parents did not show them love, or their caregivers were not very present when they needed to be. So they grew up knowing that they could handle everything by themselves and things like that. So when it comes to some level of independence. So when they are with their partners, they don't depend a lot on their partners. So okay, let's use the traveling thing. Yeah, their partners travel, they are good to go. For the disordered, okay, now it depends on their mood, because those ones have a hell of a mood swing. So if they're in a good mood, okay, they'll trust their partners. If they're not in a good mood, they start doubting a lot of stuff. So that's like a very good example I can use to describe or to define the different attachment styles in a relationship.
Okay, thank you. It's quite interesting how you illustrated it so elaborately. So for the disordered attachment style, it brings to mind some idea which I discussed earlier on on this platform where we're talking about the hot and cold. Because you mentioned something, I know many people will come for us. You mentioned the bipolarism, which is an extreme. Like you need to do the test and all in order to actually diagnose somebody of being bipolar. But that was just for a disclaimer, right?
Yeah.
But now I watched a video on Instagram, and this guy comes and he's like, "Ma chérie, je sors." I think she was doing something on her phone or something, and then she's like, "Okay, bye." Je dis que je sors. Okay, bye bye. He comes again near her. Je sors. J'ai dit bye. He comes again closer. Je sors. Je vais aller voir ma collègue qui a fait quoi, machin. Like he wanted to, I don't know if he wanted to make her jealous or whatever. Je vais aller voir ma collègue qui a quoi. She removes perfume and she's like, okay. She hugs him and then she sprays the perfume.
Around him, yeah.
And like, comment tu peux voir ta collègue, tu ne te parfumes même pas. The man got angry. Que c'est même quoi avec toi? Je te dis que le soir, tu n'es même pas fâché. Après, tu me mets même le parfum pour aller voir une autre femme. Est-ce que c'est sérieux? So the comment section was crazy. Like, papa, qu'est-ce que tu veux?
Qu'est-ce que tu veux finalement? Exactly.
So at some point, when you talk about the secure attachment style, which is the best, now you get to the avoidant attachment style. And then you spoke about independent women.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, like, okay, is it okay to be to be avoidant and independent, or you have to be dependent and secure?
I would say it's better to be dependent and secure, because when you're with your partner, you guys are okay. Let's talk for people who are married. You guys are one. So why do you want to be independent of your partner in the relationship? You guys are supposed to be vulnerable towards each other. Because when you're vulnerable, it's easier. It makes the relationship easier. I don't know if you get my point.
I get your point clearly, but at some point we are like, I'm an individual in this relationship, and I have to exist as an individual.
Exactly.
You have to exist as an individual, but we have to build an entity.
Yeah, exactly. The moment you've chosen to build an entity, you're no longer supposed to exist as an individual.
You don't lose your independence.
No, I'll not say you lose your independence, but when it comes to relationships, or when it comes to a relationship, there's a certain way that you're supposed to go about it. Because when you're accepting to be with somebody, there are a lot of things that you're supposed to forgo. Because you guys are getting into a relationship to become one person. You're no longer supposed to act
deep. Very deep.
You're no longer supposed to act alone. Yes. And when you're doing whatever you have to do, you have to consider
the other person.
Yes. So keep your independence aside. There's a time for it, but I don't think in the space of a relationship it's really important. Because a relationship, it's easier when you're vulnerable. Both partners, don't know one person being vulnerable and the other person, no. It's easier when both parties are vulnerable. Yeah, that's what I think about it.
Okay, thank you, Vanya, for explaining it in such an easy way. I feel like, okay, if I'm understanding, I feel like a lot of people can actually understand and can relate, because relationships are about compromising. So there's some parts of you that you have to let go of in order for the relationship to function well. So now, if I may ask, it is said that Cameroon is Africa in miniature. It is said that Cameroon has 230-something cultures. So in such a context, can you help us, or is there any relationship between culture and attachment styles? Like, is it always about the way your caregiver gave you care while you were a child, or it also has to do a little bit with culture?
It has to do a little bit with culture. It's not only about how your caregiver raised you or how you were grown up. And that's why right from the beginning, I spoke about the environment in which you grew up. So it could be about your caregiver. It could be about the environment where you grew up. Now, talking about the environment, our culture is... there are so many things that I would say our parents were not able to give us because they themselves did not receive it. And so they don't even know that it's the right thing for them to do. Now, in our era, lots of things are out there on the internet, on Google. In fact, internet, everything is Google. Social media, we get to talk and interact with a lot of people. So we are not supposed to be making the same mistakes that our parents made. Because, okay, if I have to talk about our parents understood that maybe to raise a child is just about, say, paying the child school fees, giving the child pocket allowance, making sure the child eats. But that's not all it. Your parent has to be there for you. Your parent has to show you love, both physically and emotionally. But most parents knew how to show love physically, and they let us down at the level of the emotional. And that's why nowadays it's causing a lot of problems, because most people are not able to manage their relationships as they should because of how they grew up. In our parents' cases, most of them suppress. I would say they suppress their feelings. But we are very outgoing. We're very outgoing. We like to claim that, okay, we know we can do this, we can do that. We know so much. But we do a lot of things without really focusing on the fundamentals. And in my opinion, I think that this fundamental about attachment is very important. Because, okay, our culture too, it helps you to, I would say, decide who you date, who you decide to be with, how you manage your relationship, how you help your relationship grow, and so on and so forth. Our culture, okay, we grew up, sorry, I'm going back and forth, but we grew up in this environment where our mothers, the idea about being submissive, I don't think it's the same idea that we have now, because our mothers will just, okay, they are submissive, it's just staying home and staying quiet and cooking. But we're in an era where, okay, so many people go to work, we have a lot of career ladies here and there, but these career ladies and career husbands or whatever, let me not put it all on the men, they have to take care of their kids. They have to be emotionally present for their kids. Once you do all that, it puts your kid in a place where there are so many things about life that they understand. And not only at the level of relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, your colleagues, your friends, how you handle your friendships, how you handle your colleagues, how you handle your classmates in school, all that matters. And it grows, it stems from your environment in which you grow up. So if there's one thing I would say is that if you're noticing something in your relationships or your friendships or your classmateships, whatever it is, take a look at yourself, take a look at how you grew up, take a look at where you think you're lacking, and see where you can strive to be a better person or a better version of yourself.
I'm really enjoying the discussion. Like it's keeping me stuck. Well, I hope the viewers are enjoying it too. But while you were talking, you said something really interesting. You said our parents likened love or emotional attention to responsibility. So it actually triggered me, because most of the time people will say when you're from a stable home with your father and your mom, you tend to have a secure attachment style. And maybe when you're from a single parent home, it's the other way around, or it gets worse. So what would you say about that? Does the fact that I come from a home where my mom and my dad were there and we looked to the outside world?
The outside world, they look at it like you guys are in a stable home. But only you knows exactly what is going on in your house. Only you knows the relationship that your parents have. There are parents who, for example, will fight in the house, but the moment they step out there, they are all smiley, they are all... And the world doesn't know that exists. They think that, okay, this is a lovey-dovey couple. Now the kids, what do they get from there? They are growing up, for example, in a toxic environment, and you don't expect them to portray a certain kind of attachment style. We can also look at it from the angle where, okay, you're in a house with your mother, your father, yes, they take care of your responsibilities and all, but there are things that happen to you. You can be a child who has gone through abuse. For example, you have your uncle or your cousin who has maybe tried to rape you, or who tried to, say, ask you out to do something funny, sexual wise, and you can talk to your mom about it or your father, and they do basically nothing about it. Growing up, you know that, okay, at the end of the day, your parents are not going to be there for you. You have to defend yourself, because these are all things that happen. Parents, most of the time, are very much aware of these things that kids get to go through. Yeah, they get to face. But sometimes they really do nothing about it. if we have to count on 10, maybe just like 3 parents really stand up for their kids. The rest, just let it slide. When you grow up in an environment like that, how do you get attached securely? You don't trust people. You
know that you have only yourself to
count on. Yeah, because if your parents could not be there for you when you needed them to be there for you, at the end of the day, who do you look up to? You're on your own. You grow up in an environment where, okay, you have father, mother. Yes, they see you guys, for example, going to church every Sunday. They make sure, okay, they never send you so they never drive you for school fee. Your parents take care of your fees and all. But are they present? If you have a problem, can you walk up to your dad or to your mom to tell them that, okay, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. What do you think about it? When you're in that secure environment or stable environment, as it should be, you have these parents who are really present. And when you're in an insecure environment, your parents are not present. So what's the product of parents not being present? You don't know anything about intimacy. You don't know anything about good communication.
Yes, because they don't even discuss certain topics with you.
Exactly. You don't know anything about good communication. You don't know anything about being vulnerable and things like that. It's because of where you grew up. But that's not what the outside world sees. And sometimes I will not try to blame our parents because we don't also know how they grew up.
Did they know better?
They didn't know better. And that's why I said, okay, we are in an environment where we have a lot of information. So we should not act like our parents. Social media has everything that we need to know. Go out there, learn, be a better version of yourself. I think that's really what I can say about the whole parenting. And
so I really like the way you approach it, because some people grow up to develop feelings of hate or feelings of disappointment in their parents, because when they went through certain things, their parents did not really show up for them like they expected. But the outside world seems to see you as a perfect entity, like a perfect family and all. So it's quite interesting. But another thing which you said, which is really pertinent, I think, for our viewers, is the fact that we have a lot of information today. For example, it's not like she's a psychologist. It's not like you're a psychologist or you're a specialist in the field. But the fact that you're yearning, the fact that you want to understand certain things got you into actually doing a lot of research in order to understand how these things work. So I think, apart from doing the research, is there any method through which someone can know their attachment style?
Well, first things, okay, I can send you to Google to try a test. That is easy because you have questions and answers and it will give you your results at the end of the day. Secondly, you can study and see what the different attachment styles are.
And see the one that resonates most with you.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
I think those are the propositions. Or you can talk with the people around you, maybe your sister, your brother, your friends. They can help you because sometimes what you think you are is not really who you are. And people have this idea of clinging to something that is not really there, maybe because they think that it has some
charisma
yes,
or
but
whatever.
It's not it, yes.
Or sometimes you're even going through something that you feel you're the only one going through, but it's not new under the sun.
Exactly. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll try to come up with we'll try to identify a couple of tests and put them in the description below. But essentially, what I would like us to talk about now is how does gender or belonging to a particular gender, how does it affect your attachment style? Are there specificities or the attachment styles apply to all genders?
They apply to all genders, but how they exhibit it is different.
Okay.
I would say in most homes for girls, for example, most girls, they receive this care from their moms and their fathers compared to guys, especially in our culture, because our parents know that, okay, guys are supposed to stand up for themselves, guys are not supposed to cry, guys are not supposed to
be strong.
That. Yes. So it put guys in a place where they have zero expectations when it comes to what they should receive in a relationship. Most men think that it's about giving, and they forget that they too have to receive. Yes. And I think it's because of the culture, how we grew up, because our parents focus more on the girl children than the male children. So it's something that we have to pay attention to. And maybe our age group, or people who are giving birth now, parents and all, instill the right values in both your female and male children. Don't think that, okay, because she's female, she's fragile, and the male is not fragile. No. Male children tend to be more fragile sometimes than the female children even. So we're not supposed to neglect the male children. And it's actually a problem, because when it comes to gender, it's an issue.
Well, I think it's interesting, but it's also really tricky, because the men, well, it's a two-way thing, because to every gender there are two extremes, and then there's like the compromise.
Yeah.
There's some that get really bad because they did not receive care and all, and there's some that are really caring because they received care. So it's basically about having your emotional intelligence, getting the right information, knowing who you are, and trying to better yourself. I think that's what it is on a very general note. But now, what advice will you give somebody, let's say my humble self, who seems to be more inclined to have the avoidant attachment style?
Well, the first thing, since you're very much aware of the fact that you have the avoidant,
I'm inclined to.
And you're aware about
I'm not aware,
it.
I'm just inclined.
Why are you
And
inclined?
my viewers might not have, like, well, I'm not trying, I'm sorry for cutting you.
Why do you think that you're inclined to being an avoidant, or why do you think you're inclined to that?
I probably personalize the question a lot, but I'm more about a couple of viewers who feel like that's their attachment style, or they people that feel like they don't have the secure attachment style because of one or two experiences they've had, because of their relationship patterns. How would you, what advice can you give them in order for them to present themselves in a better way in their future relationships, apart from all the research and everything?
Anyways, first things first, I'll tell every individual to take accountability for their actions, how they behave. Because at the end of the day, you cannot keep blaming and
everybody,
exactly,
apart from yourself.
At the end of the day, you have to work on being a better version of yourself. I am not a psychologist. Some people may need a therapist depending on how severe your case is.
Black people don't go to therapists.
Well,
I heard.
That's what you think. But there are a few therapists here and there. It's true that it's not in our culture, but we can incorporate it.
Yeah.
Because it's really important. There's so many things that we cannot do on our own. We need help. Well, the Christian part of it, you can go and see your pastor or your spiritual leader.
And then your story becomes gist. In the whole church.
Now, it depends on your spiritual leader. You need to have a spiritual leader who is trustworthy, if I can say that. But aside, the spiritual leader and meeting a therapist and all, you should take up the responsibility to work on yourself and be a better version of yourself if you want to enjoy this secured and long-lasting and healthy relationship. Because at the end of the day, it's one of the best places. It's a very comfortable, it's a safe space, it's a comfortable environment to be in. To be in this environment where you have healthy conversations, you don't have trust issues, you're vulnerable in a nice way. That's because you trust your partner and all. So work on yourself. I've said it again and I'm going to repeat it. There's a lot of information out there. Go out there step by step. You get to the finish line.
Step by step, guys. Okay, so while you were talking, something came to mind. For a while now, let's say I talk a lot with women, probably my age and lower, maybe higher. And it seems like the problem is the men. But the few times I've spoken to men, it's like they have the same problems. So at some point, you actually want to do all the research and everything, and you're like a walking dictionary. You have all the right information. Oh, you know your attachment styles. You know about attachment styles. You know your temperaments. You know your love language. Like you know everything you need to know. but there's no guy out there to actually meet up to that standard. So the relationship becomes complicated because when he says something, you're like, I understand. Your mother did not like you when you were young, when you were a child.
Yeah.
Like you're not raised in a securely emotional environment.
Yeah.
So at some point, is the accumulation of information a good thing or a bad thing?
Information, knowledge is power. I'll never go against having information. Now, if you're with this partner who is not ready to learn as much as you do, then there's a question mark somewhere.
There's a question mark somewhere, guys. So Nasah, Rynna, my girl, my banya, my bestie boo. It was so amazing having you on this video podcast.
Thank you.
And I hope you had an amazing time.
I definitely did have an amazing time.
Guys, she had an amazing time. So I don't know if you have anything to say before we call it a day.
Nothing particular. I think I've said everything I can say what I have to say.
Okay, thank you for being here. And guys, please patronize my girl, RNAfrilux. She's on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just call it, just name it, and you have it. So you can get stuff from her, Ankara stuff for yourself, for your boo. You can do matching outfits, accessories, perfume sprays, and blah blah blah. And I assure you that you look different wherever you go to. So Mbanya, I love you.
I love it so much.
Bye guys.